15 years old.
All right.
Okay, Charles. No.
It is Tuesday, January 14th at 5:31 PM. So I'll officially call this a special board meeting to order. Just for the kind of sake of kind of getting us through, all board members are present except for Director Proctor. We also have one of our student representatives, Aiden Howard, with us here. And then welcome to our guests joining us both in person and online. There's one. Okay, so if I could get a motion to approve our agenda, so, all in favor? Aye. All right, so just two actions, on the agenda this evening. The first is the approval of resolution number 957, which is affirming the values of Tukwila School District and cementing its status as a welcoming district for all students. So if I could get a motion for this.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I do have some updates, so some amendments I'm gonna propose. Part of that being is, as you'll know, we, kind of formed a committee, a task force of community members, of folks, who are doing a lot of this work, and so we had a meeting yesterday, and that's when we were able to bring, I wanted to have their eyeballs on this resolution, and so they just provided a few pieces of input, nothing super drastic. I'm wondering, Deb, and I meant to prompt you between the things, if we could pull up the Google Doc that we were using around this. I can send you the reason being is I updated them directly in the Google Doc. That way we didn't have to do all the wordsmithing and stuff. And I'm gonna talk through the changes. Here, let me just send you that should just be the same resolution. Oh, there it is, yeah, here. Okay, so there are some highlighted pieces, please. There are some highlighted pieces, where the changes are occurring. I'll tell you, some are additions, some are, word changes, and some are just moving ones around. So the first.
You get bigger? I need it a lot bigger, yeah. Okay, you just tell me when. That's perfect.
Okay.
One click down will be fine.
Okay, so at the very top, I just changed it to be in line with the language that we're using, so I replaced students with scholars. There was a request yesterday that seeing as this resolution is really primarily focused to ensure that we're keeping our immigrant students safe, as well as our gender diverse students. We wanted to put that at the top of the list. So I moved immigration status up, and then we also, and this might not have been the right place, but I kind of got lost in where that was, but I included or added the parentheses, including individuals seeking asylum. Does that capture what the request was yesterday? Okay, I think so too. Do you remember, and do you remember feeling like if that captures the request?
Oh, yesterday, yeah,
Yeah.
Jane.
Yeah, okay, great.
Feels like it's right on.
Perfect. Okay, if you could slide down to the second page. There was a request to, and I think this totally makes sense, to just ensure that we also include programs, right? So that not just that they're seeing themselves represented in the curriculum, but that we're also ensuring that we're not like taking away LGBTQ safe spaces or safe spaces for immigrants. And so I just added the words available programs and curriculum. And then slide down just a little bit more. There was a really great idea to make sure that we're also citing federal law where it's applicable. So, and again, wasn't sure if this was the exact place, but I think the point is that it's in there. So that the intention is that we're not just, not just words that the board is saying, they're not just state law, but there's actual federal law behind some of these things. So the TSC schools will always welcome all students, staff, and their families, regardless of legal status, in compliance with our district values and federal law set forth in Fire versus Doe, and then cited and that came directly from the Dr. Richards that found that language. So again, the highlighted section that I added.
That was awesome.
Yep.
This Fire versus Doe, was that a precedent case under the 10th Amendment?
It's Supreme Court. I don't know exactly, but it's under the Supreme Court. It's highlighted there. We can look it up and find it.
Okay, that'd be kind of important because that's the one input I'm gonna have. So I did look up the 10th Amendment and we definitely covered it, but okay.
Okay. And then lastly, there was kind of some discussion that we had as a group. Previously, this just referenced ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, but recognizing that there are many other agencies that could potentially be deployed in serving the potential outcomes of the incoming administration. And so we wanted to make this expansive and also have some like, you know, an umbrella term. So thankfully, there was a meeting today that I wasn't able to be a part of, but someone from the committee sent me a screenshot of some of these departments that this legal entity was using to talk about all of these different departments. And so we wanted to spell it out. So I included, again, the ones that you see highlighted there, and also added the language or other government agencies acting in contradiction to the commitments set forth in this resolution. So those are the updates that were made. The other, the only recommendation that I didn't put forward, and then are there are two actually, some things that Kate brought up, which I wanted to be able to chat about today. And then the other was, there was a recommendation to consider adding some language around reproductive health services. I had a little bit of a hard time figuring out, because recognizing that like there are many things that feel under attack right now, not that feel, that are. And you know, I think I could see this going either way, right? This was really intended to make sure that we're laying a strong foundation of support around particularly undocumented students and trans students, knowing that those are two of the big identities that are really being targeted by the incoming administration. And also we know that like person's right to choose, right, is also under attack. Related to abortion. So I just wanted to like name that, because again, I had a hard time figuring out where exactly that would go. But if other folks on the board felt that that was an important part to include here, we could certainly do that. Again, and I think the person that provided that recommendation would be okay either way. So anyway, those are things I had. I know you had something else as well.
So on 5, I'm pulling this from resolution from the city council as well. And I'll read what the city council basically said. Whereas the city of Tukwila commits its rights under the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution to refrain from, that could go right at 5 at the beginning. So whereas TSD, where did 5 go?
On the very bottom.
Here in the whereases or in the
No, on
number 5?
Number 5.
Number 5, on the bottom list.
That it said whereas.
Yeah, I will read what the source of this
Okay.
was. All right, so under 5, you can just say, TSD commits its rights under the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution to refrain from providing. Does that make any sense?
Federal government only has the powers and responsibility to do it in
I
the
was-
Constitution.
I was hoping to be like right at the 5. Because like I said, we will not provide, and so I'm just saying we'll refrain from. So TSD.
Will refrain.
Here, I can walk it down.
I think I'm curious about, see.
Document.
And then just to share the flyer versus
want
goes
here.
based on the 14th Amendment.
Yeah, TSD, and
Revolves around protection clause.
to his rights.
And so the decision ensured that all children, regardless of citizenship or immigration status, have access to public education.
Pretty sure that's, I'm pretty sure that's not mentioned.
I guess my curiosity about that particular addition is all of those agencies that we just outlined are federal agencies. So I guess I'm curious about if those agencies are. This is where it's like legal questions that I have no idea, right?
To refrain from.
If those federal agencies are acting at the will of the administration and the legislature. Where does it cross the line between being a constitutional authority versus just a authoritarian act by the federal government? Everybody, you know what I'm saying?
All we're saying is that we're protected under the 10th Amendment not to perform the duties of the federal government enforcement. Period. And so, for many other reasons that were listed earlier in the, obviously, we can move it up to a whereas if you'd like to. We're stating that it's not the function of a school system to perform enforcement work for the federal government. And they have tons of precedent law, which is under, for instance, asking states and other jurisdictions to, for instance, do background checks on gun purchases. And they went to court, and guess what? You can't make mandates, especially an unfunded mandate from the federal level, to execute the activities and functions of the federal government.
Sure, so I guess, sir, I guess, you know,
I just think I think we're saying, you know, before that, we're just saying we're not gonna assist, and I'm like, well, you know what, we have rights and protections under the 10th Amendment that say it's not our duties to perform this.
so like, I'm thinking about like with the city, that makes sense, right? Because there are agencies and departments within the city entity, like the police department, for instance. That then y'all are, you proclaim that we are not going to ask this agency within our city governance to act to uphold the powers of the federal government. I guess I'm just curious, like, where you see that connection specifically with the district? Because all we can really do, like, there's nothing about what we do that's enforcement anyway. It's about preventing assistance to those enforcing agencies. Does that make sense?
Exactly, and that's what they were taught. You, if you turn over people's names, information, location, all of that is investigative in nature, and that's all part of enforcement. If you go get a student out of the classroom, bring them out and hand it over to them, that's all part of that. We're just saying, we're not part of any of the enforcement processes that are carried out by the federal government.
Okay, so you guys just right. See, I wouldn't say refrain from, I would say constitution and will not provide
That's
assistance. Okay. So, so here's what it should read. TSD commits its rights under the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution and will not provide assistance.
fine.
Okay. Okay.
I think that's more about, for me, just thinking as a superintendent, one of the things I'm always thinking about under the resolution are what are the things under the jurisdiction of Tukwila School District? So that's the most important part. I can't control anything that happens outside of Tukwila School District. Once a student enters a school bus, they're, once they're on the path to coming to school, they are actually part of the district. So that's where I'm thinking in terms of that, in terms of the support and what we're trying to do. So just wanted to remind everybody, that is what my focus is. There's a lot that happens that we all notice in the world that we do not control. We don't control a lot of things. And so, and I can't even control the music, like I can't control an incident that happens in a school. No one can control any of those things, but what I can do is in relation to this is at least put down expectations and set guidance for staff to ensure that we are adhering to the work, and then work with our partners and local agencies in partnership to make sure they're really clear with what Tukwila School District believes and affirms for our students. So those are things I can do.
Curious, does that apply still if, this is not gonna happen. I have too much faith in Washington.
Theoreticals are important.
But let's say, so again, let's say that there was a mandate that came down from the state. Would that statement still protect us? Because if that's about the federal responsibility.
That's
What about
correct.
the
The
state?
state does what it's thing. It has a lot more jurisdiction over us. That's the federal government in terms of implementing enforcement. Believe it or not, it's a sovereign. It's recognized as a sovereignty by the federal government. And because it's recognized as a sovereignty, that's why it can't inflict mandates to a state.
So again, hypothetical, let's just say, a year and a half from now, something weird happens in Washington and there's a law that's passed. And then Houston, oh my God, Houston, why? That's what I did that, what is that? And then, you know, Washington, you know, it's our homeland, our whatever. To start supporting this work on behalf of the federal government. Does adding that then take away from the rest of the sentence if that were to happen?
I don't know, because that is a bit.
Does that feel like too much of a hypothetical? Do you
It's
think that
pretty
would?
far out there, I don't think it's always a risk, but then we just amend our resolution, I guess.
I want to hear from, our other board members, what your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much this, I mean, this is a resolution. It just
How
kind
much it
of
matters?
says, this is what we think. I mean, we're still gonna be subject to all the laws and whatever, so I'm not sure spending a lot of the time wordsmithing it to death. It's
Okay.
worthwhile, but I mean, the basic concept is all fine. I don't know, yeah, just from a legal perspective, does this resolution have any substance to it?
So the guidance that we have, so there's some new additions that we haven't been able to bring forward yet.
Yeah,
And so we can certainly do that.
Those were the additions that were brought today,
Sure.
that likely will happen.
Yeah. But I think that the guidance that we got, I think would even line up with this, which is that if you are including in your philosophy statement, which is a resolution, that everything that is consistent with your district policy, procedures, beliefs, then you're fine.
yeah.
You're fine. I mean, that's the resounding guidance that we got from this.
What you got? Come on.
Oh, no, I appreciate the passion behind this and understand it. And, agree with the district, if this is really we're gonna stand and do it, you know, here, I wanna make sure, you know, that when people are doing this and staff is at something, I think, you know, for me, I'm always just kind of a chain, like, well, okay, you know, Mr. or Mrs. whoever comes to ask for that, have you checked with my principal, and then just run it up the pole, is the way I would just so that, I think that's more of just a policy there, and then let the suit and let the other people, you know, make those decisions that are there, you know. That's there, but as far as, I'm with Director Larson, I think we can make the statement, we can talk about that, we can write every angle to it, but at the end of the day, you know, it's gonna be. So.
So just so you know, following the passage of this resolution, which is assuming we're passed based on the conversation we're having, Dr. Pedrosa has already worked on a memo that's going to go out to staff that includes that specific guidance. So that just reinforces really these detailed things that we're saying at the bottom and even more so.
I'm gonna have a meeting scheduled with all of the district administrators, and school leaders to kind of just ask questions, support them, anything they have, so that they can, kind of just make sure that they're prepared to support staff.
And I think, you know, I hear the thing about wordsmithing and, you know, when it comes to the end of the day, like what authority does the resolution like this have, state law, or, you know, certain things happen. But what I think this does do is this sends a message to our community, right, about what our values are. This sends a message to our community saying that we are gonna do every possible thing that we can to prevent your life being impacted. So I think sometimes it's more just like a show of our commitment, than, you know, and then we're gonna do our best to, you know, hold to these things as long as we possibly can, you know, when certain things or regulations or laws might change.
Our students are already expressing
Yeah.
their fear.
Yeah.
They're afraid. And so I think we need to come out and say to all of our students, I've already heard this from several already, that, you know, we are gonna do what we can to ensure that while you're in school, that you get to still be a student, you still get to be safe, you still get to study, you still get to hang out with your friends, you still get to go to band, you still get to do the things that you wanna do. And I think that's the most important thing, because, and the reality is when they leave our doors, that we can always guarantee that, but we're saying, they spend most of their day with us.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we just really affirm that when they spend most of their day with us, we are saying to our students very clearly, we got you.
Okay, if there are no other comments or adjustments to the additions, do we have to do another motion to approve the amendment? Okay, so if I can get a motion to approve the resolution with the edits.
Second.
All right, all in favor of passing this resolution, I'm gonna say the number, but it's not, number 957?
I,
Aye.
Alright,
All right, thank you all. Okay, next is the approval of the out-of-state travel request for the Tech Powered Equity Conference. Can I get a motion?
so moved.
second,
Just a note here, I know this is outside of the window, I was chatted with, Dr. Booz, it sounds like this was kind of a special case where they decided that we had the ability to bring someone else along. And so that's why it's kind of within the 30-day window that typically we ask. We have already approved a travel request for 2 other folks that are attending this conference. So this is for the 3rd person that we are excited to be able to send. So all in favor of approval?
I guess I just,
Oh, yes, sorry.
one quick comment, I just,
And I will just share one, before you comment, just, actually, Naomi Bird is no longer going, but I'm going, but I'm paying for myself. And so this travel request is because Ms. Parker is going to be using her principal designated funds, to support this. Go ahead, Director.
I just would like to make sure that we get some report back about,
Oh, yeah,
what key learning, what would be helpful,
yes, and I'm happy to come
especially
back.
if it's related to AI.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to share, and I just had a planning meeting today with, because Naomi's still involved in the planning of all of this, but she was very instrumental in the guidance document anyway. And so we actually, that's what we're there to learn, we want to bring it back, and actually people want to hear, but people are interested in learning from Tequila, how did you center equity in your AI guidance work? That's what they want to hear from us, so that's kind of an interesting. But we want to hear from other people, how are you actually implementing this in your district, how deep are you, all of that, because we need to go deeper, so we know we need to go deeper, but we're just trying to figure those pieces out, so we're excited about it, but it's, yeah. Thank you.
All right, so all in favor of approval?
Hi,
Aye. All right, and then lastly, if I can get a motion to adjourn, what? Did I miss something?
I just didn't.
She didn't hear me say it.
Oh, he's fine over there, I can.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, second, all right, all in favor? Aye, thank you all.
Thank you.
Super quick note about this weekend, we have 2 board members that are unable to attend on Saturday, so we're only gonna be on Friday.